Hi, I'm Mayor Jay Tiptraining, and welcome to this edition of Chandler Inside and Out. This will be my last edition of Chandler Inside and Out, as I will be leaving the office of mayor in January of 2019. Over the past 8 years, we've had some really amazing and great guests on my program, and I want to share some clips from some of those shows with you today. So without any further ado, we will start with former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor and a couple of clips with her. Again, the standards to get into Stanford, I'm sure they were back then, they're like they are today. It's very, very high academic standards.
Yes, but it was it was during World War II, and many of the young men were off in the service, so maybe that opened a few more doors for women.
So you got to Stanford, you obviously made good grades, I think.
Yes.
But at some point you said, I'm going to go into law. Was there anything that kind of
the trigger for that was that as an undergraduate student at Stanford, I took a class that was given for undergraduates by a law professor at Stanford. And reportedly, the gossip was, he was a fabulous professor and you ought to take a class. Well, I did, and he was inspiring. Mm-hmm. He was marvelous. And because of that class and that professor, I applied to law school. I would not have done that otherwise. I didn't know any lawyers. We were ranchers. Mm-hmm. And I'd had no exposure to it. But because of him, I applied. And to my surprise, the law school took me.
Were they accepting a lot of women at that time in that law school?
No, there were 2 other women that time. So that was rare. And I went to Stanford Law School.
And you, like you say, you did all that. And you were out of law school, too, by the age of 20? Or?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Because I had skipped some grades along the way.
Right. You finished 3rd in your class, which was outstanding.
In law school.
So after law school, you said, I'm going to...
I wanted to get a job. John O'Connor and I had met in law school. Mm-hmm. He was a year behind me. And we both liked to eat, and we wanted to get married. And that meant one of us was going to have to work, and that was me, because I was going to be out of school.
Yes.
So I went around applying for jobs, and we had placement notices on the bulletin board at the law school saying, from law firms, saying, call us, we'd like to talk to you Stanford law graduates. I must have called 40 law firms based on that. Not one of them would even give me an interview. I was a woman. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't talk to me.
And that was the
reason? At all. I was a woman.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that.
So you were involved politically?
Yes, as a citizen living there. And I had opened a law office because when I came to Arizona with my husband, the law firms wouldn't hire a woman here either. It was just like in California. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get an interview. Same thing in Arizona 7 years later. And no interest at all from the law firms. So I opened a law office in Maryvale with one partner, a fellow I met when we were taking the bar exam course in Tucson.
Right.
And we opened this little office and took whatever we could get. And it wasn't the kind of problem that usually goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, I can tell you that. We took criminal appointments, too, to help pay the rent. That was before the days of public defenders.
We've had many other elected officials on the show through the past 8 years. Here we have a clip from 2 of my fellow East Valley mayors and also 2 of Chandler's congressional representatives in Congress. And we as East Valley, I do think, work especially close together. We have every other month we as mayors get together just to visit with each other and talk about the issue of the day or what have you. But
you stole my thunder.
I stole a little. I didn't steal that much thunder.
That's one of the things that I take a little bit of pride in. I think I work well with people. I get along with most people. And making these relationships was the thing I was not looking forward to as mayor. I thought that would be my downfall. My wife says I'm a party poop. I'm not a social person. But I've come to enjoy getting to know the different mayors, getting to participate in the different activities of the different groups. And when you meet someone like this on a one-to-one basis where I can sit down and talk with you, there's some camaraderie that is built in together. And so when you have a problem or a concern, you can talk to them honestly and openly and have that dialogue that you don't have to hem and haw around and and worry about hurting somebody's feelings. And it's just a fantastic thing that we have as mayors now, that we can sit down and talk to each other and maybe disagree agreeably and walk away from it understanding each other's position and being able to work together for the better good, the greater good of the community. I've been on different Pinal County associations, different Maricopa County associations, working across these boundaries and city boundaries. Our residents don't care where the line is. They just want services. And that's what this cooperation and these different organizations you're trying to do, is give our residents, our citizens, that continuity of service from one community to another. And I think that's where this regional cooperation comes in at its best.
For those in the audience that don't know you as well as I know you, maybe a little bit about you, about your background. You served in the House, State Senate President. Yeah. So maybe some of that background would be helpful for some of our folks.
Happy to talk about that. That's probably the easiest question you're going to give me all day, but
probably.
But it's good to be with you, Mayor, and Mayor Tibshraeny and I go back and served in the legislature together, and that's great. I'm an Arizona native. I was born in Tucson, and my law degree's from U of A, and I have a master's degree from ASU. That way,
very smart.
Yeah, and my wife and I have been married 36 years. We have 6 children and 4 grandchildren, and you know, I've written a couple books. I do some music, and I've practiced law for a number of years as well.
Right. Yeah. And you kind of decided to do a little public service, and you ran for the State House back in the early 2000s?
2002, I ran and was elected for the first time, and then served in the State House for 8 years, and then the Senate for 6, and the last 4 as the Senate President. Yeah. And before that, I did international policy work at multilateral institutions around the world as well. So I love policy making, which, you know, as a kid, you never grow up thinking, man, when I grow up, I want to be a policy maker.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
that's good. Well, good. You got a really good background, and I've worked with you at the legislature. We worked on many things together. We had some pretty good years there. Welcome to the show. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you? You got a kind of a unique background, maybe a little bit about your political background too, before you became a congresswoman from the state of Arizona.
Well, I am a little bit different. Everyone knows that about me. I'm a little bit different than most people in politics. So, you know, I was born and raised right here in Arizona. That's kind of rare, but I'm a Tucson native. So when I was in elementary school, though, it was the early 80s, it was a tough time economically. My dad lost his job. My parents got divorced. And so I actually experienced a childhood that's a little bit different than most people. We were homeless for about 3 years of my childhood. And, you know, this isn't something that a lot of people knew about for me. It was a tough time in my life. We actually lived in my mom was a single mom for a while, and we actually lived in this old abandoned gas station.
Right.
Kind of like a country gas station, and didn't have running water or electricity. And, you know, that experience really informed who I became as an adult. And that's why I care so deeply about programs like Kids Care, right? Because the Kids Care program is a healthcare program for kids, kind of like when I was a kid. And it just makes sure that, you know, kids aren't going to be hurt through no fault of their own. And so my own experience growing up, you know, in poverty and homelessness really taught me how important it is to try and give people a helping hand when they need one.
Right.
But, you know, one of the things I learned when I ran for the legislature, I got to the legislature and I was elected in 2004.
When I was 2002.
That's right. You were already there.
I was there.
And one of the things I learned when I got there was how important business is to the good functioning of our community. Because that's where you drive the jobs. That's where you get the revenue to pay for the things that we care about, like Kids Care. And so I learned a lot about business and how important business is to our community. And really, that's a story of people who work really hard and just fight for the American dream. So my life has really been kind of a combination of those two things, like work really hard, but help those when they need it. And that's led me to kind of be where I am in an unusual political space, which is really sitting right there in the middle, understanding where people on the right are and the people on the left are, working together, trying to find common ground, and luckily I was able to do that in the legislature.
Yes.
I was lucky because they were good people to work with, right?
Yeah,
we
there
worked
was.
together a lot.
We worked together.
Yeah.
We did.
And then I went off to Congress because they could use some of that.
Oh, and then there was the morning mayor on my show. I'm Mayor J. Chip Sherney. You're watching Chandler Inside and Out. Our guest today is Dave Pratt, media, radio, internet sensation, you name it, he's done it. Thanks for being here today.
This is fun. I love it.
So I've kind of been chasing this ghost, the morning mayor, for all these years. Where the heck, who gave you that moniker? Did you give it to yourself? Because you've been the morning mayor, and that is kind of your title.
Yeah, so you're going to love this. It comes from the world of politics. So my first year doing mornings on KUPD, it was for the mayor of Phoenix. Terry Goddard was running against, I want to say, Pete Dunn at the time. And it was pretty brutal campaign going back and forth, and they were on KTAR and all these stations kind of arguing back and forth. And I was listening, thinking, you know what, there's got to be some common ground between these guys. So at the time, we're broadcasting on KUPD from a trailer in the middle of Guadalupe. And I thought, this is going to be funny. I invited both of them to be on the show. And I said, here's the deal, guys. No talking politics, nothing. We can talk your favorite movies. We can talk favorite sports teams. Whatever you like, no politics. And you have to be on at the same time. They come down, they had the best time ever. This was like 2 days before the election. And towards the end of the interview, they both said to me on the air, they said, Dave, this is the most fun we've had during the whole campaign. And they were getting along, and they were finding commonality. They were talking about different things that they liked together in sports teams. And that truly was magic. At the end of the interview, I said, guys, do you realize that in a couple days, one of you will be the new mayor of Phoenix? And Terry Goddard looked at me and he said, Dave, one of us will be the new mayor of Phoenix, but you'll always be the morning mayor.
Terry Goddard did it.
So when Terry said that and then he won, I took that clip, Jay, and I played it over and over and over and over and over again. Most people now just say, hey, Mr. Mayor. They don't even call me Dave. It's just, hey, Mr. Wherever I go, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor. So I love it. You know, I was at Bosa Donuts down here coming to see you. There, it's a great diet for a media guy, but I loved it, man. And they're like, Mr. Mayor, and I'm like, everybody. That's what they do.
And your staff used to have fun with you. I remember taping something or doing something where they could kind of yank your chain and have different mayors do things.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have a gavel in the studio. When things get out of control, I slam the gavel, and we have fun.
Well, you got a second career when you're done with
Oh, no, I can't. No. I couldn't be a mayor like you with the vision that you've had. And what you've done here in both of your administrations as a senator is really incredible with the technology and the new business that you're bringing here. I think the Rogers Corporation is a great example.
We're excited about that one.
I hope we get into more of the discussion about you and Chandler, because I'm just fascinated with Chandler, and you know that.
Yes.
But one of the reasons that I respect you so much for what you've done in both of your administrations and as a senator is the development of Chandler.
Thank you.
Because with my dad being a master plan community developer, I know the work and the vision that goes into that, and what Chandler's doing now is phenomenal.
Thank you. On a more serious note, with all of the school shootings we've had, I thought it was important to let our constituents know what we're doing in Chandler. My guests for this clip were our police chief and our fire chief. We've got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to give each of you an opportunity maybe to deliver a message to the public or something you think they might want to know, or just add to this conversation. I'll start with Chief DeWiggins.
Sure. So I guess if I could give a message, it would not be on behalf of the fire chief, but father. So my youngest son's a first grader at Carlson Elementary. And so when I go to these meetings, I look at it from two perspectives, as a fire chief, but as a dad. And I can tell you that there's a commitment from the school district. There's a commitment from the city, starting at the top.
Right.
There's a commitment from the police department and the fire department to keep our schools safe. And I can tell you, I go to work every day and feel very comfortable with my son in school. And I know that that the schools they're doing everything they can, and that if something did happen, we're ready for it.
Good. That's good to
departments.
hear. Yeah, great. Chief?
Mayor, I would just end it with, obviously this is a very complicated issue. And if it was simple, it'd been fixed already, and obviously that's not happening. So in addition to the training and our ability to respond, the prevention is the key, and for people to be engaged. So obviously, the police department, fire department, we play an integral role, a very important role, obviously, but it's not our role alone.
Right.
So this is a community effort. It's a community problem. So we're there as a partner, very engaged partner, but we need everyone's help.
Yeah.
And it's just that it could be that one person noticing something may not be right with their child or their neighbor or someone on their team, and just engaging. And instead of stepping back and having someone else do it, that's not the times that we live in. So it's important to step up and everyone share that responsibility.
Yeah, I think you guys are on the right track here. You've got a good department. You guys are addressed it internally, but also we're trying to empower our citizens to be a little bit more involved with these kind of issues, and to, when you see something that doesn't look right, let us know. And for one of our all-time favorite quotes, we go to none other than ASU President Dr. Michael Crow talking about Chandler. I want to thank you again for all you've done for Arizona State University and for all you've done to help us be a quality city by providing graduate students that our companies can hire and then build even better companies.
Well, let me say, Mayor, you've been a tremendous supporter for all these years, both in the legislature and in this job. The tech shop that we have across the street in the ASU Chandler Innovation Center, I just visited it this morning. The night shift was just leaving. People literally in there, students and businesses building things, making things happen. I mean, it's really unbelievable, and you've been a tremendous supporter in all of that.
Coming back to the mayor's office in the heart of the recession back in 2011, we spent a lot of time addressing our economic needs in Chandler. We have a few clips here to show you what we've done with our economy in Chandler. I mentioned that my wife does a lot of online shopping, which she does. How has that affected the mall? And I mean, that's just a new pattern. There's more and more and more goods being bought online. You guys seem to have fared pretty well with that, but the bricks and mortar is a bit under fire because of that. And maybe you could chat and educate us a little bit on that.
What I would say is online shopping has actually benefited the brick and mortar in the standpoint that the retailers that are in there need to be better for their customer. They need to engage their customer. So I know earlier we talked about Nordstrom, but if you look at online sales at Nordstrom, you can buy online and pick it up at the store. You can buy it online, try it on a store, and then exchange it. You can drive up and text them and they'll bring it out to you. You can go to the store, buy it, and have it shipped to your house for free. I mean, they've really created a way to do it. And so as online sales have grown, they really have grown with the retailers doing better and better. So they're part of that growth engine, if you will. I think the legacy retailers like Toys R Us that recently went bankrupt and liquidated. They're ones that perhaps they were stagnant before the online sales, and online sales only attributed to it. But the good ones, the ones that are at Chandler Fashion Center, the ones that are growing their businesses, they're figuring out online, and they're just as much a part of that growth as anything else.
Are those still significant factors, or are some of the other areas shown?
Yeah, that is continuing to be the pattern of growth that we are seeing. There's sort of a separation in terms of the type of jobs, the wages that are paid. We right now, just based on February of 2017 compared to February of 2016, year over year, Arizona is the #1 state for growth in finance and insurance jobs. And those are jobs that pay in the high 60s on into the 70,000 a year. So we're the #1 state for growth of those kind of jobs. We're also probably in the top 5 for growth in food service jobs. Those are jobs that are paying probably 25,000. And both of those sectors are probably growing about 10, 11,000 jobs a year. So you've got your high wage jobs offset by your lower wage jobs. And so, the middle doesn't really change that much, but those high wage jobs really make a difference because those are jobs that are paid at a national wage scale. Those are typically for nationally based companies that brings in outside dollars, whereas your food service jobs, with the exception of tourists, your food service jobs tend to recycle money that is already here. But we're one of the faster growing states for population, and you have to have the service jobs to support the population.
And you moved out to Chandler. When did you move to Chandler? I mean, the Chandler area.
Yeah, the headquarters of the company moved about 2 years ago.
Right.
I moved in that time frame as
You were
well.
there. And I don't know if our audience understands the significance of that move, because you come from a town called Rogers, Connecticut.
Yes.
The town was named after the corporation.
Yes.
So for you to move and I know you still will have a presence there, but it was a significant decision to make that move, I would think.
Yeah, it was actually, and it's one that a lot of thought went into it. We looked at a lot of different alternatives. We were very comfortable with Chandler, with so many years of experience here, and of course the relationship that we have with the city of Chandler, with the state of Arizona. We were looking to really change the dynamic of the company, be much more oriented towards higher tech, higher growth. We have a lot of customers in Silicon Valley, so proximity to Silicon Valley is very important. Of course, this is a much more cost-effective place for us to position ourselves, and so that was all in the thought process that went into moving the headquarters out here.
That brings me to talking about what's going on in Chandler with Google now. And you guys had approached the city a number of months ago and chatted with us, and you had said, hey, we're going to pick a valley city to be the next test site for our driverless car.
That's
there
right.
was already 3 cities, and you were interviewing some of us with the cities in the valley. You ended up picking Chandler, which was really exciting because we thought it fit really good with our innovation
Absolutely.
and technology kind of hub designation that we've acquired over the past many years. But so you picked Chandler. We're really excited about it. I want to talk a little bit about the program now. But before I do, maybe the other 3 cities that are also doing it. I know one's Austin. You got Mountain View, Washington.
View, California, and Kirkland, Washington.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we're joining pretty good company there.
I think so.
So what went into the decision for you guys, number one, to come into the Valley to pick Chandler, but to pick the East Valley to be the start of the Arizona program?
Sure. Well, we've been working on self-driving cars since 2009, and we've been testing them primarily in our home neighborhood of Mountain View, California. And there are a number of things we wanted to achieve when we expanded our testing program, both on the technology side, but also on the community and sort of interacting with the public side. So we look for places that can meet both of those needs. So on the technology side, we thought that the desert-like conditions here, for example, would be something new that our cars have yet to experience and that they need to learn. So how does the heat, how does the car handle the heat? How about all the dust in the air that's a little bit different from, for example, Mountain View, California? And I think there are probably road infrastructure things that we will learn that we don't even know about yet.
One of my favorite spots in Chandler is downtown Chandler. We've had numerous guests over the years talk about their investment in our city core. Hope you enjoy these clips. Let's talk about, we have a really unique downtown. I think most East Valley cities have their own really unique downtowns, and it's really, really cool to be involved with Chandler. But what are some of the trends you're seeing in Chandler as far as our downtown?
Yeah, our downtown is just exploding with growth, really. Over the last 18 months, we've had almost 20 new businesses opening up, and it's not just restaurants. It's been places like Commit Agency and Quadmark that have brought tech down into our community. But we're also seeing really a move from sort of a suburban downtown to more of an urban environment where we're seeing more of an 18-hour city where you really can live, work, and play. So it's not just a place to come on Friday nights or Saturday nights. It's a place to come get your coffee at Peixoto Coffee in the morning, to have lunch at Santain Brewery, and then come back for dinner at VB Lounge or go down for after dinner drinks at the Ostrich. So there's something to do from early morning till late night.
I like that, the 18-hour thing. You're right. We're kind of a full service downtown now with all the different things. The other interesting aspect about where Crust is there's a basement. And I always, as a kid, heard about the basement, you know, growing up as a native of Chandler, that's the place, kind of a speakeasy and what have you, that used to be really cool. Movie stars used to go there, what have you, back in the heyday of the San Marcos. But the Ostrich, as you guys have named it, is a very unique venue too. It's on the basement. It has its own entrance, and you can also get there from Crust. But talk a little bit about the Ostrich and what you're trying to do there.
So when we first were visiting with the hotel and we heard that there was a basement right under us, I don't think anybody realized that we were honestly looking to do something.
And it's a basement that, by the way, it had been boarded up probably for 40 or 50 years.
Yep, with 9 inches of concrete that we had to break through. And, you know, we heard a lot of different rumors. What we do know that at one point it was a speakeasy. We still have the original ladder from the 1920s. At one point we heard it was an ostrich storage feather room. And at one time when there were ostriches running wild, Dr. Chandler had them swept up and they were stored downstairs in the basement. What we've learned through Wikipedia is that all speakeasies were always named after an animal. Mm-hmm. So we thought it was, hey, the link to Chandler is calling it the Ostrich. You know, it's a private underground. It's a room for us that is our private dining room, if you will. We do craft cocktails down there. It's a fantastic venue. We've been blessed to have it work out the way it does. It's really very unique, very old setting, 103-year-old room. So we're really happy with the way it came out, and it's been great having local support from you guys.
Yeah, that's been really good. I'm glad you guys kind of brought that back. I think that's an interesting venue for the folks that come downtown.
Yeah.
How did you decide I'm going to locate in Chandler, downtown Chandler?
So this happened before Peixoto Coffee. My husband, myself, and my children, we chose Chandler to be our city of residence because of its diversity, because of the jobs that Chandler offers to its residents, because of the proximity to freeways. When we decided to open the business, we chose Chandler, not only Chandler, but downtown Chandler, because this was our community already. I grew up in a small town in Brazil with a city center, with a main square where everyone congregated. And I wanted my children to grow up in that same environment with, you know, business owners, knowing them by name and knowing who they are. So that's why we chose downtown Chandler for our business. We wanted character, historical character. We didn't want to end up in a cookie cutter strip mall type of location. So we looked long and hard for the perfect spot to represent the craft nature of our business.
I think you made a good decision, and I hear you. It kind of sounds to me, and I heard you talk when you won your award at the Downtown Chandler Community Partnership, that it kind of reminded you of your childhood and kind of that town square and family-friendly, small town type of feel, even though Chandler's a very big town now.
It's a big town, but it has that small town feel, specifically if you're here in downtown Chandler.
So if you went with your gut instinct that night, you wouldn't have come up on stage, but you fought it, you agreed, and then you added your information, and it became very, very enjoyable. So that's the secret.
I'm not going to go all the way with the enjoyable. It was tolerable.
Well, I think you were the only one in the room that didn't enjoy it. Then,
I was having fun.
It was a hit.
It was good.
It was an absolute hit.
No, it was good. It was good. Well, speaking of that, we're going to go to a clip from that night. I'm not sure which clip our staff's going to show, but we'll take a look at it, and then we'll come right back. I'll reintroduce the show.
Okay.
Don't go away, by the way.
I'll stay here, yeah.
And then we'll do the last half of the show.
Great. Fantastic.
So, well, thank you for that round of applause, you guys. I forgot to hear it, I think. Oh, there they are. There they are. Yeah. All right. All right. We were going to film this part ahead of time, but I think we'll do it live. Here we go. A lot of times during our show, we will pull somebody up out of the audience to help us out a little bit. So, I've been warned, but I'm a guy who likes to take risks. You go big or go home, right? Right? We're going to do this. And I may need your help getting this person up on stage, because I'm told it depends what kind of mood he's in. But the vice mayor has helped us out Why not get the mayor up on stage at an improv comedy show? Mayor Jay Tipshady. Jay. Nobody is saying it. I don't know if we're allowed to call him Jay. Is this one on? All right. All right, Jay, how are you, sir? Good. Nice to meet you. Good. So we're going to do a scene for you here. It is Hollywood themed tonight. So what we're going to do is create a blockbuster for you. And everybody knows in blockbusters, there's a lot of effects. All the sound effects for our blockbuster are going to come from Jay himself. He's going to do all the sound effects for this movie. Woo! So if it doesn't go well, it's on the mayor, all right? Yeah, his throat hurts. So we'll put you at the podium. We'll see if that works for you. I'll get you warmed up. Jay, so you're not going out cold. All right, Jay, you ready? All right, I'm going to take this little pebble here, and I'm going to throw it through a big plate glass window, and this is the sound it's going to make. You ready? Jay, is the mic on? That was you. Okay, that's fine. That's why we do these things. That's cool. If you would show up to rehearsal one time, Jay. All right, I'm going to take this. It's a larger sized rock because that pebble didn't even make a sound. I'm going to throw it through a really old plate glass window about 15 feet out. You ready? Here we go. Jay, the sound that would make. There it is. Okay. Okay. All right, good. We're there. We're getting there.
Is that better?
Yep. Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm going to shoot I've got a basketball in my hand here. It's about a 8-foot jump shot.
Can I ask a question? Is this the whole thing?
No. We're going to get started as soon as you cooperate.
Obviously, you picked downtown for a reason.
Yeah, we wanted to bring something. We noticed when we were performing in Tempe and Scottsdale that a lot of the people were driving from the East Valley, and we thought, well, what if we just went to the East Valley, we performed there, and they didn't have to drive anywhere. And my wife and I also, we would go out in downtown Chandler. We would go to Santa Maria, Zocalo, all these great establishments, and we would notice, not just us, but a lot of couples walking around, what else can we do down here? You know, we had people willing to spend the time and spend the money in downtown Chandler and stay there. And we like to say you can come down for dinner and see entertainment and just park your car once.
Those of you who know me well know I love sports. So therefore, we've had a lot of sports figures on our show, including coaches and owners. Hope you enjoy these clips. So a little bit back to the organization and your involvement. Last year, or just recently, ESPN rated the Diamondbacks in terms of on-field and off-field success, one of, if not the top-rated organization in baseball. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, and maybe some of the things that went into that kind of ranking, because that's pretty impressive when you look at the different teams in the different markets you're competing
against. Well, thanks for mentioning that. I mean, we're very proud that we were recognized. We were chosen from the poll that ESPN does as the #1 team in baseball, and in all sports, we were the #5 team across the world in all the sports in terms of the criteria they used, which are broad. They involve, of course, on-field results, economics. It even looks at ownership and the quality of ownership. So, we somehow dodged a bullet on that one.
How did that all come back? You had that great year in Indy. You guys...
Had a great year in Indy, and then we lined up 6 interviews. Chicago was the first ones to ask, so we went there first. While I was in Chicago, 4 or 5 dropped the interview process. And I truly was not going to interview in Arizona. Ken Wisenhunt was a dear friend. And also had Russ Grimm and Kevin Spencer and Matt, guys I won the Super Bowl with, Ray Horton. And I wasn't going to keep any of them, and so it was going to be very hard for me to do that. I actually called Kenny before I came for the interview and asked him about it. And he said, "Oh, you deserve it. You and Michael will get along great, and you need to come in and try it."
Yeah, he was professional about that.
No, he's the best.
Yeah. So you came out here, you interviewed, and you got the job. And all I ever hear about, especially this year, I think you guys went to Chicago again this year, but is they keep kicking themselves because they didn't hire you. At least that was.
I'm sure glad they didn't, because it's like waking up in paradise every day out here.
Yeah, we're glad you. So you got hired, and the Cardinals had a couple of rough years in a row after the Super Bowl run of 2008, I believe. So you came out of the blocks that first year and 10-6.
We were very close. You know, we lost the game in Philadelphia that came back and lost the tiebreaker. And then we learned from that. And each year we've grown a little bit. And obviously last year was very disappointing to get so close and not make it to the Super Bowl. But again, we learned some things, and we have the core of our football team coming back.
Two of my favorite guests come from the local sports media. One even tried to hijack this show. Let's hear from Gambo and the Wolf. We're going to spend about a half hour talking to John about sports, the state of the local sports.
No politics, Mayor?
A little politics maybe later on. We might do a little
I'm
of
sure
that.
we have a lot of the same political views. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. It's great.
You know, when I go to a school and I speak to kids in college, if teachers and professors have me in and I say, hey, I'm different than anybody else that you've ever had in. I'm not college educated. I barely got out of high school.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you how I made it to where I am. And I did it through networking.
Mm-hmm.
You go on an internship. Don't just go there to get the credit. Make sure you meet everybody and make sure that you get a chance to talk to everybody and send everybody that helped you a thank you letter when your internship is done, and then follow up 3 months later and stay in touch with that person, because that person can help you a lot more than your resume can.
We're almost out of time, but I wanted you to maybe just spend 30 seconds on, you help out, you know all of our police here in town, you play on a softball team, but you do some work for one of the charities that benefits police.
The 100 Club of Arizona, near and dear to my heart. My old radio partner Mark Asher and I started it many, many years ago, doing radiothons for the 100 Club of Arizona, giving back to the local police officers and firefighters, that put their lives on the line every single day. We take that very seriously, and we want to honor those police officers, firefighters, corrections officers, border patrol agents. So we've raised millions of dollars for them, over the last probably 8 or 9 years by doing the radiothon and giving back to make sure that the police officers' families are protected if something happens, but also to make sure that all the police departments and fire departments have the right equipment. And that's what the 100 Club does. And make sure that they have if the budget doesn't allow for new vests, the 100 Club can come in and provide the new vests.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been near and dear to my heart.
You're the only guy that's played for both the St. Louis Cardinals and the Arizona Cardinals, but also St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Louis Rams?
Yes, exactly. Actually, the only player to play for both St. Louis franchises, that being the Cardinals and the Rams. So if you're ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and they ask you final answer, you can say final answer.
Ron Wolfley.
Doubt that's going to happen though, right?
It might. I don't know. But
so what about you, Mayor? Because I know this is your show right here.
It is.
All right. But as you know, I'm a talk show host. This is kind of what I do right here, right?
Yes.
On radio, of course, different medium here. But did you ever play? Growing up, what sports did you play?
I played a little in high school.
A little in high school?
Not very much.
Okay, what did you play, though? Were you ping pong? Were you good at ping pong?
I was not good at
Were you on the golf team? What were you?
I liked all the sports. I wasn't that big of a person in high school playing them. I kind of played a lot after I got out of high school. I liked football, not tackle, flag.
All right.
I liked basketball.
Okay.
I liked baseball.
Were you on the debate team?
I was not. I was a class president, so now I'm the mayor.
Okay, you were a class president. Interesting. Yes. Okay, that seems to be a fitting role for somebody that's going to get into politics. But for whatever reason, I was verbose, articulate, some would say.
Yes.
Okay. More cerebral, some would say. And because of that, the press, the media, considered me to be a good quote. So they would come up to me and they would constantly ask me questions and things of that nature. And I kind of enjoyed that. And suddenly, Jude LaCava, when I got here, Jude said, hey, Ron, you know what? You ought to come in and do a weekly radio show with me. And that's what I started doing. And man, I got bit, especially with the medium of radio.
Because he had a radio show before it was TV.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Yes, on old 620 KTAR, right?
Right.
And I kind of got bit and really liked it.
Well, I'd like to go on, but I told you this show would go quick. I appreciate you coming out and sharing those thoughts with our audience. It's nice to have you in studio.
No, Mayor, I really appreciate the invitation, and maybe we'll do it again.
I'll let you do more of the interviewing next time.
I would love that.
You make a living doing that.
We want to know, Mayor. Answer the question.
There's that voice. All right. Thanks, Ron. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed those. It's been fun to host Chandler Inside and Out these last 8 years. A lot of great things have happened in our community, and we've tried to bring a slice of that to you on Chandler Inside and Out. Thanks for making my stay as mayor such a wonderful experience. And until I see you again, take care and be safe.